Hello and welcome to Door to the Universe. Today, we'll tell you about the history of commercial space, the beginning. On June 21, 2004, Spaceship One, the first private spaceship with a crew, flew 62.5 miles above the Earth's surface. This was a big step forward for private space travel. By doing this, the ship went past the Kármán line, which is the point that the International Astronautical Federation says is the beginning of space. After two more flights in 2004 on September 29th and October 4th, the piloted vehicle won the $10 million Ansari X prize for the repeated flights in a privately built reusable spacecraft. Getting to space. Spaceship One was a space plane that was made by the company Scaled Composites, which was owned by Burt Rutan, an aerospace designer. Paul Allen, who helped start Microsoft, put money into the ship's development through a joint venture called Tier 1. The goal of Tier 1 was to create technology that would make regular access to space cheap and easy. The spacecraft was about 28 feet long. The cigar-shaped fuselage had a diameter of about 5 feet and could hold a pilot and up to 2 other people. The plane had 16-foot-long wings that were short and wide. At the end of each wing were large vertical tail booms. During re-entry, the back half of the wings folded up, which increased drag and kept the plane stable. For landing, the wings were put back into a position where they could glide. The spacecraft was launched from the bottom of its mothership, White Knight, a turbofan-powered airplane, about 50,000 feet in the air. After gliding for a few seconds, Spaceship One's hybrid rocket motors fired for 80 seconds to lift the craft just above the atmosphere. Spaceship One flew in an arc through space for about 3 minutes and then glided back to Earth. This is called suborbital flight. Spaceship One flew a total of 17 times. On the 15th flight, people went into space. Michael Melville, a test pilot, was in charge of that historic trip. He went on to become the first licensed commercial astronaut. After its first trip into space, the ship went on 2 more trips before it was taken out of use. During its last 2 flights, the ship broke these records. Number 1, Melville flew to a height of 64 miles on September 29, 2004. Number 2, on October 4, 2004, pilot Brian Binney flew 70 miles up or 112 kilometers. How Virgin Galactic got started. In a video put out by Virgin Galactic, Richard Branson said, "The landing on the moon was a turning point for me. After the landing on the moon in 1969, he was sure that many young people like himself would have the chance to go into space someday. But Branson waited and waited, and progress in space was slower than many people had hoped. This was partly because the Space Shuttle program had a lot of problems which made Congress in the United States less likely to support it. Finally, Branson decided to start his own space tourism business. He started Virgin Galactic in 2004, intending to use a version of Spaceship One, a reusable suborbital space plane made by a company called Scaled Composites for private leisure space travel. Spaceship One was made to take off while still attached to a larger plane called White Knight. After taking off, the space plane would separate from White Knight and the rocket's engines would fire up to send it into space. The space tourism dream on hold. Virgin Galactic's original plan was to fly 3,000 people in Spaceship Two vehicles in their first 5 years. Each ticket would cost between $200,000 and $250,000. Things got off to a good start on June 21, 2004, when Scaled Composites pilot Mike Melville flew the Spaceship One on the first private suborbital spaceflight in history, reaching an altitude of just over 62.1 miles. A few months later, on September 27, 2004, the company was officially launched. But Virgin Galactic's original plans had to be changed because of several tragic events. The first of these was an explosion at the Mojave Air and Spaceport in California in July 2007 that killed 3 Scaled Composites workers. On October 31, 2014, a tragedy happened again while testing the first Spaceship Two vehicle prototype, VSS Enterprise. The vehicle broke up in the air above the Mojave Desert, killing the co-pilot Michael Alsbury and hurting the pilot Peter Seibold. It was later found out that Alsbury had turned on the VSS Enterprise's unique feathering re-entry system too soon. The gateway to space is now open for business thanks to Virgin Galactic. Virgin Galactic's luck has been getting better as of late. In 2016, the company held a ceremony in Mojave to show off a new Spaceship Two model called VSS Unity. The new spaceplane has a lot of new features, including safety features that make sure its feathering re-entry system doesn't deploy too soon. In 2009, the company opened the Gateway to Space at Spaceport America in New Mexico.
Virgin Galactic is coming home to New Mexico, and it's coming home now.
This was the first commercial space terminal in the world. In March 2021, Virgin Galactic announced the first of its next-generation Spaceship 3 vehicles, and VSS Inspire its next spacecraft. The Kármán line debate is brought back up by the Billionaires space race. There was a lot of talk about the competition between Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos, who started Amazon and Blue Origin, and another company that wants to send rich people to space. Jeff Bezos said on June 7, 2021, that he will be the first person to go into space in the New Shepard spacecraft on July 20, 2021. Soon after, Virgin Galactic said that Branson would be going to space on July 11th aboard VSS Unity to evaluate the customer experience. Even though Bezos went on to congratulate Branson on social media, Blue Origin tweeted a harsh comment about the differences between their own credentials and those of Virgin Galactic. They wrote this in the tweet: "New Shepard was made to fly above the Kármán line from the start, so none of our astronauts have an asterisk by their name. For 96% of the world's people, space starts 62 miles up at the Kármán line, which is known all over the world." In the same tweet, it's mentioned that Virgin Galactic space planes don't fly that high. For example, Richard Branson's flight reached a height of 53.5 miles before coming back to Earth. SpaceX was the first private company to send astronauts into orbit. Elon Musk seems to support Virgin Galactic by saying he will go to space on one of its space planes. The CEO of SpaceX and Tesla doesn't hide the fact that he and Jeff Bezos don't like each other. Jeff Bezos, on the other hand, kept his promise and went to space on July 20th with his brother Mark, aviation pioneer Wally Funk, 82, and Dutch physics student Oliver Damon, 18. Blue Origin's New Shepard went 66.5 miles above the surface of the Earth and then landed in the West Texas scrublands with the help of a parachute. Many people agree that the Kármán line is the boundary between space and Earth, but the effect of Earth's atmosphere goes much further. It even has small effects on the Moon, which is more than 384,400 kilometers away. NASA and the US Air Force, on the other hand, think that space ends 50 miles above the Earth's surface. In the end, these lines are made by people, and there is no one true way to tell where Earth ends and space begins. If both companies can change people's minds through the overview effect, they may have reached their goals no matter how high they go. Latest trip. Friday, April 8, 2022 at 11:17 a.m. Eastern Time. The first private mission to the International Space Station took off from Florida's Kennedy Space Center. 3 tourists were on board a SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule, and the flight was set up by the company Axiom Space. Michael Lopez Alegre, 63, a former NASA astronaut, is in charge of the AX-1 mission. He is guiding 3 customers: Larry Connors, 72, an Ohio real estate mogul; Mark Pathy, 52, founder and CEO of Montreal-based family office Maverick Corp; and Eitan Stibbe, 64, an Israeli businessman. During their 10-day trip to the space station, which is about 250 miles above Earth, the tourists took part in scientific research, like studying aging in space and stem cell testing. A ticket for the 10-day space trip is said to cost $55 million. But Axiom Space says that its customers aren't just tourists like those who ride with Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic. Instead, they'll take part in scientific research. It's hard to believe given how much money was paid. The future. Axiom Space plans to build its own space station. The first module is set to launch in September 2024, followed by 3 more modules by 2027. With the private sector entering the world of space, do you think it gives a lot of people the chance to travel to space, or does it just give a few companies even more control over the industry? Tell us your thoughts in the section below. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel, as we'll be bringing you a lot of content.